using equations to solve word problems. The good news is you won't have to write the word problems from the book. The bad news is we have to write a couple here. So first, let's just start with straight up words that we will translate into an equation and solve. 6 less than 5 times a number is 74. Find the number. So you'll have some like this that are just a description of some kind of number. We'll translate the words into math to make an equation, and then we'll use our equation solving skills to get the answer. Okay, so let's start with the easy part. Is 74? Is always equals. 74, that's simple, just a number. Now it doesn't really matter which side has the equal 74, you could have the whole thing flipped. What does matter is that we get the order correct. Less than tells me we're going to do subtraction, and remember that for subtraction, the order matters. So maybe we should work backwards and let's say, okay, well it's 6 less than some amount, and that amount is 5 times a number. How would I write 5 times a number? CJ?
5 times.
Okay, 5x, 5n, I don't care what variable you use. Now, 6 less than that has to be minus 6. It's not 6 minus. Think about we're taking 6 away. If it's 6 less than some amount, I'm taking 6 away from that amount, so minus 6. Okay, so that's important. Just be careful if it's a subtraction problem that you're solving, that you're translating it into the right order. Now let's use our skills for solving this from what we did yesterday. You leave the variable term alone. Let's start with minus 6, and we do the opposite on both sides, which is plus 6. So we end up with 5x equals 80. We divide both sides by 5, and we get that the number is 16. Hopefully not too tricky. Bless you. Now be careful, you will get some that have negatives. So if there was a negative 74 at the end, just remember to use the right rules for adding with positives and negatives. Bless you. Okay, pretty simple so far. Yep, I think that one's good. You guys should be good on those. We've practiced that kind of thing. Let's try one that is a little more geometrical. The perimeter of a trapezoid is 90 centimeters. The parallel bases, what? Don't worry, I'll remind you what a trapezoid looks like in a minute. The parallel bases are 24 centimeters and 38 centimeters long. The lengths of the other two sides. Now again, here's where we have to write a big word problem. The good news is for homework you don't have to write the problems. You just have to translate it to an equation, so you won't have to do this very often. The lengths of the other two sides are consecutive odd integers. There's that idea. What are those lengths? Now this one combines some stuff. You probably, some of the questions you won't have to combine this much. The idea of the consecutive odd integers adds an extra layer. But we've done that. We'll work through it. We got to read it. Sometimes for these word problems, read it a couple times so that you figure it out. Now, anytime you have a geometry-based one, I'm going to suggest that you give yourself a little sketch. It won't take long, and it will help you greatly to understand what you're doing. And in this one, it might be especially helpful because it's probably been a little while since we've looked at a trapezoid. Now this one, ooh, that is not very good. This trapezoid of mine is not the best looking one, but we're just using it to get our problem set up. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit off in the picture. Remember that a trapezoid has two sides, and in this case, I have them as the top and the bottom. The two bases are parallel. And that the other two sides, in this case the left and the right sides, are not parallel to each other. So the top and the bottom are parallel, and those are the ones we call our bases. So first let's label our little drawing. The parallel bases are 24 centimeters and 38 centimeters long. Now, by the way, it said perimeter is 90. I'm just going to put that down here where I can see it as a reminder. How do we do perimeter? Izzy? Good, we add up all four sides, or whatever the shape is, we add up all the sides. So in this case, once I label what these two are, then I'm going to take all four and add them up, and together they should equal my perimeter of 90. So now what we have to do is figure out what to label these two. Now remember, you can only use one variable in an equation. You can't have two different letters, because then we don't have a way to solve. So, consecutive odd integers. What should that look like? And this consecutive odd integers, this was from back in chapter 2. We had consecutive integers, we had consecutive even and consecutive odd. It was lesson 2-7. Anybody able to find it in their notes or remember what that should look like? Kate? Okay, good. So the first one would be x, and the next one would be x plus 2, because even though they're odd, they jump by 2. Now, we don't have to add them together, right? This doesn't say the sum of them. It just says that one of the lengths of the other two sides are consecutive odd integers. It doesn't matter which one's which. We're going to add it all together, and remember, we can add in any order. So now we just need to get all these pieces. I've got 24 plus 38 plus x plus 2 equals 90. So again, labeling it is going to, or drawing a little sketch is going to help you visualize what you need to do. And then after that, it shouldn't be too difficult. I hope. Now, to solve this, 24 plus 38 plus x plus 2 equals 90. Are there some like terms that I can combine? Tammy, what do you see? And? Don't forget little old 2, right? And in fact, I'm going to start with the 2 because if I want to do mental math, I could do 38 plus 2 is 40. 40 plus 24 is 64. You can also use your calculator. And then, of course, I've got plus x. So I have 2 x's equals 90. So for your work, what I'm going to want to see is if it's a geometry problem, use a little sketch. Write the equation and solve the equation. That's your work for today, is to write the equation and solve the equation. So on this equation here, what's my next step going to be in order to solve? Jim? Good. I need to leave the 2x alone. I'm going to start by subtracting 64 from both sides. So that leaves 2x equals 26. And then, of course, last step, we divide both sides by 2. And I get x equals 13. Now, I'm not quite finished answering the question. We're done with the work. Any questions on the work that we did there? It's just like yesterday's stuff, right? Once you get the equation. So now we just have to look back at the question. What are the lengths of the 2 missing sides? Well, one of them is 13, and again, this would be centimeters if we're measuring it all in centimeters. What's the other one? There were 2 missing sides. Carissa? 15. Good. The other one was x plus 2. So our two missing lengths are 13 plus 15. Are those consecutive odd integers? Yep. And if we look back at our drawing, if this one was 13 and this one was 15, and we added that with these other two sides, would it equal 90? It would. So we can always check to see if we got the right answer by plugging our numbers, our answer, back into the problem. So that's it today. I think the word problems will not be too difficult. You should be able to do them.